So you're joining the military to get education. That's wonderful. I've done it, and I wanted to kind of share my thought process and how I went about it and what you can expect as you join the military and want to accomplish this. But stay tuned. What is up, guys? You're tuning in to Nikki MGTV for another military video for all your military video needs. As always, you can hit me on Instagram, Snapchat, or down in the comments below if you have questions. But as always, let's roll right into the topic, and that is how to get your degree while you're in the military. Alright, so let's go over some disclosures. There's 1,000 ways to skin the cat. This is only one way, and pretty much my experience, I'm going to kind of share that. Second off, it depends what you want a degree in. 3, don't expect a typical experience of a college life, because obviously you have the obligation to the military, which school is going to be a secondary thing. And lastly, it's going to depend, based on school being a secondary thing, how fast or slow. And also, lastly, the 5th one, how motivated you are to actually complete your degree, because there are a lot of lazy people that will not do any classes. So let's go into this. First off, and I'm going to say this, I'm going to go step by step. It may be a little bit boring past, or you may already understand the college process, but let's just go through this, because some people join the military and end up being scared because they know nothing about the college process. So let's start there. First off, what do you want to get a degree in? And if you don't know, that's okay, because either way, you start at the very bottom, like English 101, and you eventually move up. So no matter what you pick, take those classes, use that time though to actually think what you want, interact with other students, and that way you can actually figure that out. And if you want to figure out what you want to get your degree in, and it's maybe something science-based, realize time intensive. You're going to need to really ensure that your credits transfer. If you're going to another college, it's going to be very difficult while you're in the military to do science classes. That's what I've personally seen. But let's move on to the next one, and that is picking the school you want to go to. So there's a couple things I want you to focus on if you're trying to do this while you're active duty. What will fit your schedule for active duty? What can you afford? And will it get you to where you want to be? And lastly is, will it transfer to something that you want to go to based off that school's specific accreditation, regional accreditation specifically. Understand that. Do some research. I don't want to explain that entirely here because that would really deviate from the video. Next thing you're going to want to do is take the application, apply, and a lot of times there's going to be a Veteran Affairs office within your school, something like that. JT worked at one of those. Somebody that's been a veteran before has gone to your school. They understand the process and can help you out. But what I want to say is they will take a lot of your transcripts from your military service and bring them over into the college setting. What I want most people to understand at this point is you likely will not have your college credits count for much other than electives. I'm sorry, but many schools, depending on where you're going, will a lot of times count some of the credits as electives, and that's because sometimes it's just a pass or no pass situation for the military, and they're looking for actual grades. Next, in this process, you obviously have to pay for it somehow. So when you are lower ranking, the first thing you should always start out with is Fafsa. If you don't know what that is, Google Fafsa, do your taxes first. Highly suggested do your taxes. Then apply for it as soon as possible. It's already April, so you're already late on the game, but apply now. If you're like an E-nothing, you have a chance of actually being able to get money for school that way. Now, second off, you have something called tuition assistance in the military, which you can use, and it allows you up to 16 credits. So if you combine that FAFSA money with the tuition assistance money, come together, you're going to be more than a part-time student, and you can pretty much be full-time as long as, again, you manage that with your military obligation as well. Next, I will say that you can pay out of pocket depending on how expensive the school is and if you're willing to do that. If it's a community college class, you're probably going to be pretty cheap versus some kind of private institution, something like that. So definitely go for something that you can afford if you're going to pay out of pocket. I personally did do that at San Diego Community College back when I was stationed in San Diego. You might be like me, higher up in rank, making more money, where you're not going to get FAFSA and you only have TA where it's 16 credits a year. You may want to start tapping into your GI Bill, and everyone's going to freak out right at this point. Everyone freaks out. Why are you going to tell people to use their GI Bill when you're giving away free BAH money, which is housing allowance for what you get when you're out of the military, you have to be out of the military utilizing your post 9/11 GI Bill. There's two thought processes to this. The first one is wait, do as much schooling while you can while you're in, and just ride it out, which theoretically would get you to about 8 years to finish a bachelor's degree, okay? So imagine there's 8 years for that. How much for master's, if it'll even cover everything you need for master's? You know, you start looking at the timeline and projecting, you're like, whoa, I may want to speed this up a little more than what the Navy's going to allow me to do. So let me kind of explain that thought process of you can wait until you quote unquote get out. If that's your goal after your enlistment, to get out and then use that money, that's perfect, because obviously that's a cushion. Now, if you're someone like me that has no kids, I obviously could pass it on to my kids later on if I wanted to, but I decided to tap into it because I figured on my mentality, which I know someone's gonna say this is dumb, my mentality was I want to commission faster, I want to get to my final destination sooner, because if I plan on doing 20 years in the military, I don't want to be 38 years old going back to college. I want to be doing my job, because at 38, I'm probably going to have more stuff in life that's going to distract me or take me away from that opportunity, where I would rather not have to worry about that and just go in from military service, out of military, straight into another job, already have the credentialing, and also hopefully project my military career in a better position than just only doing what tuition assistance will allow me. But I do want to say the last thing that you can do in order to get a little extra money, American Opportunity Tax Credit, which you can use, which gives you up to $2,500 to go towards school that they will reimburse you for. Again, Google it so that way you understand the full thing, and not giving advice here that you can take and run with as like I'm counseling you on what to do. You have to do your own research on this. But the American Opportunity Tax Credit will actually give you $2,500 to pay for school, books, laptops. There's a bunch of other stuff. You'll have to look at the IRS tax code and all that kind of stuff. That way you get your real advice from them or from someone else that does your taxes. Give you the projection of what you're looking at. Like I said previously, if you stick with tuition assistance for each year, you get 16 credits. You can pretty much expect that you're probably going to do about 8 years straight in a row of grinding that out to finally finish. Okay? Now that means you're typically with boot camp, A school, and by the time you get there, deployments, you're probably actually looking at 10 plus years before you do that. So that's the understanding if you only use tuition assistance. For me personally, I joined in 2008, 2009. I went through A school, I went through my pharmacy tech C school. I went to my first command the very beginning of 2010. I actually had somebody bring me to the college office in San Diego. I enrolled in classes right away. So that was back then. I did twiddle around. I wasn't doing too much. I think I did like 5 to 6 classes while I was there. And then I took like a year off and did nothing. Kind of got lazy playing Call of Duty and drinking. And then I went on a little deployment stunt for about 6-7 months, came back, and that's when I went to the community college full time, because those are 16-week courses where the military, that's very hard to do. So I did do that for a little bit, but I just found it very grueling, long, and burdensome. But I was lucky to be able to fit that in my schedule in the morning. Again, military obligation, I had to work on going towards E5, so I kind of took a break again to study for my advancement to E5. I advanced to E5, I automatically switched over into going into my mode of I need to do school. So when I was in Rota, Spain, I was there for 36 months, actually 38 months, I believe, by the time I was done. And I finished, I think it was like 32 classes while I was there. Me using tuition assistance, the GI Bill, Opportunity Tax Credit, and all those to finish it, which I was on my 8th year finally. And then I went to IDT school for the Navy, and then I also went to Field Medical Training Battalion, went to my first command where I had to do my FMF pin, did a couple operational things, and then I finally started back up this winter. So that's kind of where I'm at now, starting my master's. So it is possible, it's just I want to give a realistic expectation for many of you guys that are looking to join. I do want to give one other caveat for all the people that are going to say I'm stupid for touching my GI Bill and not giving it to someone like my kids or something like that. And that's because I saw so many people that have had parents that were in the military, that had the opportunity, or they got the GI Bill and they literally threw it down the drain. Like they they went to college and dropped out or something else. And I met a couple people that joined the Navy that had that opportunity, and I really thought to myself, I said, if that's the case, I will make it to work for it. And I know you always want the best for your kid, but if there's a will, there's a way. And I personally wanted to utilize my benefit. So that was my mentality. Again, 1,000 ways to skin the cat, but that was just my mentality. So take it as it is. Obviously, you could have a different opinion. If you have a better way of what you were able to accomplish school while in the military, write down in the comments below for these other people trying to check it out. But if you do have questions about college in the military or whatever else, you can always hit me up on Snapchat or Instagram or down in the comments below. Also, there are Navy college offices at certain locations, which you can also Google that, or there are hotlines as well, which you can check out. But as always, guys, I love you guys. I'll see you next time.